Welcome back to Disturbed Reality. When it comes to the drug war in Mexico, the scenic state of Michoacán, which was once renowned for its outstanding natural beauty, butterfly reserves, tourism industry, and its agricultural power, has become a deadly battleground in recent years. Numerous cartels fight for control in the state, most notably Carteles Unidos, La Nueva Familia Michoacana, Los Viagras, and Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generación. Much of the violence is concentrated in the rural areas of the state. As cartel convoys patrol drug corridors in the countryside, they will very often run into each other, and when they do, it's on sight. The sad fact is, however, the violence and terror is not exclusively kept between the warring cartels. Extortion in the area is big business. Michoacán is the largest producer of avocados in the world, and such criminal organizations have added this to their business portfolios. Stories of local farmers being threatened and extorted by cartels is an all too familiar tale, with those who disobey likely to meet a grisly demise and end up in a body bag. Cartels have also been contributing to deforestation in the area to essentially set up avocado orchards, as well as to get involved in the timber industry. As a result, the deforestation has led to an increased risk of the local rare butterflies becoming extinct. Homero Gomez Gonzalez, a former logger who managed the El Rosario Butterfly Reserve, spoke out publicly about the effects in which the cartels were having on the local wildlife. He was regarded as one of Mexico's most respected conservationists and was dubbed the Butterfly King by the media. His cause was noble, and in most parts of the world, such a passion would be seen as risk-free, though not in Michoacán. Homero was asked before his demise whether he was scared of potential repercussions that speaking out against cartels could garner. He stated that he wasn't, despite the clear danger. In January of 2020, Homero went missing without a trace, which was unlike him. Homero Gomez Gonzalez was last seen alive on the 13th of January 2020, attending a meeting in the village of El Soldado. His family reported him missing the next day. They received phone calls from individuals claiming to have kidnapped him, asking for ransom payments, which human rights activist Mayte Cardona said that the family paid. Over 200 volunteers joined the search for Gomez, while the entire police force of Ocampo were detained for questioning. More than 2 weeks after his disappearance, his body was found in an agricultural reservoir in Ocampo. He was 50 years old at the time of his death. It said that his body showed signs of his death being a murder. Michoacán state prosecutors initially found no signs of violence on the body, but a later autopsy revealed that Gomez had suffered a substantial head injury before being strangled and drowned. Another activist connected to the butterfly sanctuary, named Raul Hernandez Romero, was also found dead a few days later. It has been speculated that they were targeted by organized criminals. Over 2 years later, it's said that the police investigation into the deaths of the two men have resulted in no potential leads, with many close to the case claiming that the police force have actively tried to disrupt the investigation, leading many to believe that the local police force had some involvement in the murders. As we have covered in the past, the most notable conflict in the region right now is between C.J.N.G and Carteles Unidos, a battle that has produced some of the most graphic propaganda footage, including the infamous Ghost Rider video, where CJNG tortured and murdered a member of Carteles Unidos by setting his face and head on fire using rubbing alcohol. Towards the end of the video, the victim's head looks like a red talking skull. The level of cruelty and depravity on display in the video is something that has stuck with me ever since I watched it. Another war that is going somewhat under the radar is the ongoing battle between CJNG and La Nueva Familia Michoacana. La Nueva Familia Michoacana being the offshoot of the remnants of the original La Familia Michoacana organization, who fell apart during the first half of the 2010s after the death of cartel leader El Mas Loco Nazario Moreno Gonzalez and the arrest of second-in-command El Chango Jose de Jesus Mendez Vargas. As well as the structure of the leadership of the organization being dismantled, several members of La Familia in the early 2010s left the organization to create their own cartel, which was known as Los Caballeros Templarios, or the Knights Templar in English. Servando Gomez Martinez, aka La Tuta, was the leader of the organization and sought to control Michoacán as La Familia were losing influence in the area. The Knights Templar cartel was founded on a strict ethical code developed by La Tuta. The code was contained in a small book which was handed out to all members of the cartel and even the public. The 22-page book is titled The Codes of a Knights Templar of Michoacán and contains the rules and regulations of the gang. The gang had based its rules on those of a European Knights Templar. Members sworn to help the poor and helpless, fight against materialism, respect women and children, and not to kill for money, and not to use drugs. The Knights Templar in the early years even went as far as drug testing all members of the organization. Regardless of the rulebook, Knights Templar would often engage in criminal activity such as drug trafficking, murder, and extortion. They would also go to war with the remnants of La Familia as well as CJNG. The Knights Templar would quickly fall, however, after the arrest of La Tuta and several of his associates on the 27th of February 2015. The cartel were officially designated as disbanded in 2017. The void in the area would soon be filled by CJNG, who became the dominant force in the state. Remnants of the old La Familia organization, as well as some Knights Templar members, would then form La Nueva Familia Michoacana, or in English, the New Michoacán Family. Much like their predecessors, they would go to war with CJNG in the state of Michoacán. Much viral footage has come out of the conflict, as well as extremely graphic content, such as the recorded murder of El Vargo, who was a member of La Nueva Familia Michoacana. The video shows El Vargo having his limbs dismembered by CJNG sicarios. Quite frankly, La Nueva are not strong enough to battle CJNG on their own, and neither are any of the organizations in Michoacán. As a result, Los Viagras, Carteles Unidos, and La Nueva have subsequently joined forces to battle the common enemy. Without this unity, CJNG would more than likely have taken over the state years ago. Despite the might of CJNG, they have somewhat struggled in Michoacán territory in recent years. A man by the name of El Zarco has been a key figure in La Nueva's battle against CJNG. His name has been mentioned in several viral videos, whether that be being threatened by CJNG thugs or La Familia members hyping him up. Salvador Navarro Penaloza, aka El Zarco, is the head of La Nueva in the Tierra Caliente region of Michoacán and Guerrero, one of the most hotly disputed territories in Mexico. According to reports, El Zarco is one of the remaining men of the old Knights Templar cartel, meaning El Zarco has been at war with CJNG for the best part of a decade and is somewhat a thorn in their side. That is why on more than one occasion, the men of El Mencho have released videos threatening El Zarco, one of the most well-known being a recording where CJNG sicarios desecrates the corpses of 3 members of the Familia Michoacana, assuring that they will go after El Zarco and his men. La Familia would respond with a viral video of their own, declaring that they would not back down and would continue to fight CJNG with no compromise. In the video shown, the narrator calls out CJNG and El Mencho stating, "Look, here is El Zarco. Look, here is El Borriego. And here we are. If you kill me, I have plenty more to replace me. Send your garbage over here. Pure Michoacán family. Just so you know, El Zarco is pure Michoacán family, and don't get confused." Besides of a couple of pictures online, not much is known about El Zarco, but as of recording, it seems that he, as well as his crew, are still operating in the Tierra Caliente region, working with the likes of Los Viagras and Carteles Unidos. As many of you who follow the channel are aware, Michoacán has produced much of the graphic cartel content that has been released in recent years. One lesser-known example was released in 2019. The eerie video seemed to go under the radar despite the unique nature of the video. Out of all of the cartel content in which I've covered, it's arguably the most unique clip that I have seen. But nevertheless, what happens in the actual video? The video is just shy of 2 minutes long, and the setting is a dark room. The unusual aspect of the video is the style and production quality, for lack of a better description. Usually, drug cartels will use whatever camera they can find to record such violent acts, but this video appears to have been edited after the fact to make it appear more stylish. The video appears to have been recorded on a smartphone, as the quality is pretty clear. In regards to the editing, the saturation and brightness of the video appears to have been reduced, and a filter has been placed over the video. The best way I can describe it, if you have played the game Outlast, the filter looks similar to the camera in which you use throughout the game. Also, during the execution segment, what sounds like a Narco Corrido song is added to the video, which drowns out some of the sounds from the victim. As you play the video, a blindfolded victim who has his hands tied can be seen on his knees, and it appears as if he is kneeling over a large white bucket with a blanket placed over it. The victim is surrounded by 6 or 7 heavily armed CJNG sicarios, one of which is carrying a machete and one is carrying a rotary saw used for cutting wood. The rest are carrying high-grade assault rifles. A narco banner is also being held up by the sicarios, with El Zarco being mentioned. The first 15 seconds or so of the video is one of the sicarios reading out a statement, which seems to indicate that the victim was tied to La Nueva Familia Michoacán. It's hard to make out what was said, but here are some rough translations. The cleansing continues. Understand that CJNG is in charge. We are coming for you, Birias, and your fucking brother. After the statement has been read, the music that has been dubbed over the video starts to play. The man with the machete enters shot, and you hear the sounds of a power tool being turned on. It is the rotary saw. At the sound of the rotary saw, the victim freaks out and raises his head, but the machete-wielding killer grabs his hair and forces his head back down. The killer with the saw approaches closer, and he attempts to cut the carotid artery on the victim's neck. Despite the music dubbed over the video, you hear the victim's panicked and frantic screams. The Sicario struggles to connect with the saw blade against the victim's neck, so he tries to cut the back of his neck and the left side of his neck. Due to the size of the blade, it doesn't cut through much flesh. The killer, carrying the rotary saw, kicks the victim in the face out of frustration as he is still screaming. The screams are quickly subdued, and the machete-wielding maniac, who is holding the victim by the hair, strikes him incredibly hard multiple times on the back of the neck, possibly cutting through the victim's spine. The victim is then pulled to the floor and is struck multiple times with the machete on the same spot on the back of his neck. After every strike, the silver, shiny machete gets more and more covered in blood. Due to the way the video has been edited, the blood on the machete looks fluorescent. The video continues as the Sicario mercilessly hacks away at the victim. Towards the end of the video, the music stops and you can hear the thudding chops of a machete. A man then walks into shot and simply points his gun at the camera and states "Puta madre, suck my dick," which is where the video ends. The creepy aesthetic to this video, and the terror in which the victim was going through, especially as the rotary saw was turned on, makes this video extremely hard to watch. As mentioned, it is unique due to the editing style and in relatively good quality. Weirdly, it would be far worse without the music and the edits. The screams, although faint, sound horrifying and would only be worse without the music. But nevertheless, that is the video, and I hope you enjoyed it, if you can enjoy this sort of content. Once again guys, thank you for the support, it's been much appreciated. This case was recommended by a subscriber who prefers to remain nameless, so shout out to him. Thank you for the topic, it's much appreciated. And ultimately, if there's anyone else out there who has a case recommendation, please let me know. Follow me on Twitter, send me a DM, or alternatively, drop me an email on the email in the pinned comments. Also, if you would be so kind, please check out my Twitch channel. Once again, the link will be in the pinned comments. I've actually been having a lot of fun on Twitch. It's a change of pace, not talking about serious subject matters like we do on this channel. It's ultimately a place for me to let my hair down, and I've had a really good time doing it so far, so if you could check that out, it would be much appreciated. But anyway, as always, stay safe, and I'll catch you on the next one.